Greetings, I am Tom Earl. On this week's episode, we talk so many awesome things with Catherine B. Roy. Check it out. Greetings, I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of grace. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today, sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy means the world to me. I hope you know that in this moment, you are loved, you are appreciated, and you are valued. As you can see, I am not alone. I have an amazing guest. She goes by the name of Catherine B. Roy. How's it going today, Catherine?
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Do you mind if I introduce you to the good folks out there via your bio?
Not at all.
Catherine B. Roy is the CEO and founder of LHM Academia and LHM Media. She is an internationally recognized personal growth and business coach, best-selling author, as well as a human potential thought leader. Catherine proved that she could beat the odds, including a fatal illness, sterility, and even a civil war in the former Yugoslavia. She enjoys the distinction of receiving the Top 30 Under 30 award, and her writings are published in the Huffington Post, Thrive Global, Simple Reminders, and other such publications. She's the best-selling author of Live From Your Heart and Mind, which hit the bestseller list on its release date. Her most popular quote reached 1.2 million people in less than 10 hours, and her community has over 150,000 followers. And it is also featured in many other online communities and includes over 50 million people in total. Amazing. You're doing such awesome stuff out there.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course. I always start the interview with this question. Your bio is amazing, and the essence of who you are, we can't ever capture in a bio. So what is something about you that we couldn't know about you just from seeing you and reading your bio?
Well, when you read the bio, everything is so shiny and, successful and beautiful like Instagram. But if you go a little bit deeper, then, my life was a roller coaster, basically. I've lived through so many difficulties in my life that I grew up so fast. Basically, I was born in this dysfunctional family, and I lived in fear almost all my life. I was very lucky to be recruited in scientific center when I was in high school. So I was working with college professors as a kid. I was like 15 years old. And I was working in the field of linguistics and media manipulation. Published my first scientific work when I was just 17 years old. That's the moment when I realized that I can actually do something with my life. But unfortunately, I was living in ex-Yugoslavia, and that was 1999 when the bombing was starting, and I ended up living in the basement for 3 months with very little food and water and almost no electricity, and I was just 17 years old. So my spirit broken, and I just didn't know if I'm going to live another day. But when that was over, I was like, now nothing is going to stop me to build my own life. And that's how everything started.
A lot of people, go through trauma and we respond differently. How did you, develop your healing and your growth mindset to bring yourself to where you're at? I took it out of your bio, but, on it says that you're really living a happy life. You have a beautiful family. Do you mind telling us a little bit about that journey?
Yes. Well, after that situation, I was remembering myself, how I was feeling in the scientific center when I was happy and fulfilled and successful. And I didn't allow myself, although back then I didn't know anything about mindset. Later on, I did learn a lot about that. But there were a lot of kids, and I saw that they were afraid. So I was making like parties for them, and I was playing with them to keep my mind busy and to not think about what's going on outside. when that was over and when I finished college, I started to work with very successful international company, Italian insurance company. And I was financially, in any other way, very successful. But one day I woke up in the hospital because I was overwhelmed. I had a burnout, and actually doctors didn't know what's wrong until they found out that I've got a Coxsackie virus, which attacked my heart, and they predicted that I will live just a year and a half. That was 11 years ago. And in that moment, I thought, hey, girl, if you survive that one, this one is going to be a joke. But the truth to be told, I was petrified. So I started to learn, as I said, a lot about mindset. And I went to retreat in monastery for 7 days. And after that retreat, I went to do examinations and I was perfectly healthy. So as a scientific girl, I stopped to question anything because I couldn't explain what happened in that monastery. And I didn't want to explain. I was just happy that I was, alive. And that gave me fuel to go out and to share my story with people. And those were the first steps when I started to write my book back in 2008. But then again, in 2012, they diagnosed me with sterility, and I always wanted to be a mom. So again, I went through a difficult process of medical treatments and all of that, but another retreat in Monastery Tassos in Greece helped me, and I became a mom. And now I have a son who is 3 years old. So I definitely don't question anything anymore. I'm grateful for who I am and what I have, and I'm building my life. I'm the creator of my life. I'm not anyone's follower. That's my story.
Wow. Thank you for sharing this with us.
My pleasure. It's a little bit emotional, but somehow I managed to tell the story.
What's it like while you're sharing it? Because there's a lot of moments where I'm listening, where I'm going through an emotional roller coaster just listening.
Well, I have goosebumps all over me, and it's uncomfortable, but it feels good to get it out and to give people hope that anything that can happen in their life is a lesson, is a sign for them to think about the way they were living their life before that, and that they definitely can take charge in their own hands and create life. Because if I managed to do that from all those things, anyone else can.
If you don't mind sharing, you said you started to write your book. Is that the book that was the bestseller?
Yes, that was the book that was bestseller.
Do you mind sharing a little bit? What was it about?
Yes, I actually created a system for emotional and intellectual development. The system is based on formulas and algorithms for fixing emotional states, establishing balance, healthy relationships, problem solving, and all that is important from the emotional side for us to really live fulfilled life. Because success from material side, which I had, is not enough. We need to be fulfilled. And for that, we need both of our aspects, and those are emotions and intelligence. I'm a member of Mensa, so I was involved in a lot of researches about the brain power and all of that. And I've developed an IQ training for us to increase our mind potential. We have 2% of brain as adults, which we don't use, basically. And those are billions and billions of connections. If we tap into that potential, then we can think faster, remember longer, bring on the table better decisions, and make our life easier. So my book is basically my story presented through those formulas and algorithms. And why algorithms? Because they're not two same people on this planet. And the same advice given to you and me, it's not going to give the same results. So the only person who can advise you is you. And I am basically guiding my readers through the algorithms. They give the answer, so algorithm lead them, and they get the result for themselves. The interesting story behind the book was that when I was struggling with sterility, I started doing the meditation challenge with Oprah and Deepak, and nothing happened for the first few times. But fourth time, I've started to receive information which I had no idea what was it about. I didn't understand any of it. I still was just a beginner in all of that. And I was writing it down. And later on, I was reading that, and it sounded complicated. But I was a programmer for 10 years, and I thought, hey, what if I transfer this into algorithms? So a lot of information from my book are channeled basically from my meditations, and I wasn't living by that. I am now. And my results are not results just from business development, but from my personal growth for all these years.
It sounds like you're using the word algorithm very intentionally. Do you mind clarifying a little bit about what you mean?
Well, basically, it's very simple graphical presentation. When I ask a question, and then a reader answers with yes or no, and I made him think. So he chose left or right, and the algorithm is leading him to a specific solution for his situation. So, for example, everyone is asking me about love algorithm always, and I simply ask, are you happy in love? And then the answer can be yes or no. If it's yes, you don't need the algorithm. If it's no, then I go deeper and ask if that is soul self-love or ego self-love. Soul self-love is unconditional state of being, and ego self-love is basically a possession. And we know that. In that moment, when we read that, we know that the answer. So if it is a possession, then we should let go. And universe is basically telling us that we need something else. But if it is soul self-love and it still hurts, then the only option is that we're giving it to a wrong person. And we know that too. And then we go to the reason why we are with that person and why we are so connected to that specific person, and get to the real problem, which goes deep. And that problem needs cure. And when you realize what's that problem, then you use algorithm for that one. That's how it goes.
So I'm hearing it's like a process that
Yes.
you're engaging with. What you mentioned the ego. Thanks to Oprah and her really pushing Eckhart Tolle and inviting us to step into that. I'm hearing a lot of people that I'm hanging out with being like, "Oh, let's talk about ego." You mentioned it as well. What is the ego?
Well, the less we are aware of our true self and our spiritual being, the higher ego is. And I have to say, the less we are awakened, the stronger ego is. And ego is a mechanism of our brain. Our brain is an organ for survival, and it's basically protecting us from unknown. So I don't think that egocentric people are bad people. I think they're hurt, and they build walls around presenting themselves as powerful and acting on that way because they're afraid to show up authentically for who they really are, because we are all born good, but situations in our life made us who we are. And situations in my life should make me like the most egocentric person in this world, but I'm not, because that's not good for me. And I realize that. So the fear, the procrastination, distraction, or ego are the same. Those are all mechanisms of our brain who say, hey, don't go there because you don't know what's expecting you there. Stay here. It's comfortable here. You are the most powerful here, and don't do anything about that. But the truth to be told, the highest people who achieve the highest success, and I'm not speaking just in material way, are actually those who tapped into awareness behind the ego.
How do you do that? How do you start to tap into that awareness?
Well, I've designed a simple breathing exercise because I'm a businesswoman, and in the business world, not many people are into meditation. because it's bow wow for them. Okay, so I do use meditation, but for them, I created something that is stopping our brain from thinking on a physical level. So we inhale air for 7 seconds and exhale for 7 seconds because it's physically hard. And our brain is basically stopping to work because it needs air. And that is the moment when we need to tap into our alpha state of mind and inner being by asking the stupidest and easiest question of all, just how are you? And the answer which I got scared me because I didn't want probably to admit myself that I wasn't feeling good. And when I allowed myself to admit that I wasn't feeling good, that's the first moment when I took action to change that.
And what was that action?
Watching The Secret movie for the 8th time, but this time paying attention.
So the law of attraction?
Yeah, the law of attraction. And I am using visualization and manifestation now big time. And it's just unfolding in front of me. And every single step I take, it's just how I imagined it. And that's the magic of life.
So, because a lot of people, it gets bad rap, the law of attraction. What does it mean to you? How does it show up in your life?
Well, actually, look at it like this. They told me I can't be mom. And all doctors told that. And I had 2 in vitro fertilization unsuccessful. But I saw myself being a mom, and I saw myself with a son. And I even imagined he will have the same nose as I have. And he has the same nose as I have. So what am I seeing in that is actually hidden in the work of Nikola Tesla. I'm very fan of his work, and people are not familiar that he didn't work just in the field of electricity, but energy too. And he explained it like that everything has a frequency, as well as our objects around us. We also have a frequency, and our mind has a frequency, and our thoughts have a frequency. So bad feelings, bad emotions have low frequency, and good feelings and good emotions have high frequency. We don't need to believe in the law of attraction. We just need to work that we position ourselves on high frequency. And that means whenever we don't feel good, we need to stop and to do something that will make us feel good. I like to make a distinction between emotions and feelings because people get confused about that, and that's very important. Feeling is a state of being, that's love. And emotion is a processed feeling through our mind. So depending on our mindset, we will produce an emotion and react or respond. In business world, we need to respond, not to react. And that's the point. Law of attraction exists for those people who are working toward achieving the goals which will bring them higher frequency. So the secret is just a story, and it doesn't have a firm foundation, but it's good to start with. I will give you just one example. Like 2 nights ago, I said to my husband, I want to go on stage. I want lights, and I want public, and I want that. And he said, okay, you want okay. And today I received an invitation from one huge public speaking platform, and they want to feature me as one of their speakers. So it's working.
Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So when did you move into the entrepreneur business world? When did you start your business? Can you take us on that journey?
Well, I always needed my space, and I started a blog and had no idea that it's going to become a book, but it did become a book. And I honestly didn't know what I was doing. I was just guided to write it down, and I was doing that and forming like a book, but English is not my native language. I had no idea how I'm going to do that. I had no idea how am I even going to tap into USA market with that, because everything was in English. And a man showed up, and we were discussing something about Buddha and his quote. And I noticed that his English was perfect. And I asked him kindly if he would see what I wrote and help me to just to get a perception about my book. And he said, I'm professional editor and author, and I would like to see that. And when he saw it, he said, you know what? I'm going to edit this book and you're going to publish this. And I'm not going to charge you anything because this has to go out. And I was like, okay. So for 6 months, we were working on that. He found me a publishing house in the USA. I've published my book. But in the meantime, I've collected the courage to make my first public video. And I published that video in the group called the Royal Society, formed by Brian McGill, who is the author of Simple Reminders and New York Times, Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestselling author. And Brian saw my video and he invited me to his thought leadership school. He was choosing 100 new thought leaders for the new generation, and he chose me. So I was pregnant during the day, and during the night I was listening his lectures and his mentorship and all of that because of the time difference. And he endorsed me for my book. Brian is someone who has 20 million followers, and he's so huge on Facebook that it goes like CNN, then Brian, then 5 places, then Oprah. But I had an unfortunate situation with my publisher because I couldn't tap into reports or anything. So I was a kind of naive and used. I wasn't paid off at all for all of that. And I called Brian and I was destroyed. I was just crying. And he said to me one sentence: first project I've created with my friend ended up my friend stealing the code and running away and selling the code to a company, and I never saw him again. So I can't wait to see what's the next thing that you are going to make. And I dropped the idea about the book, which was now published by myself 2 months ago because the contract ended. And I finally started my entrepreneurship journey because I had so high reach and so high visibility and so high publicity, and I want to help people to achieve the same, but without so many pain like I can.
Oh, wow. That is a really such a winding adventure and journey you've been having. It's crazy.
Yeah, I actually never said this in a public interview, like the whole piece. I maybe told a few pieces, but this is the first time that I say really what happened because the contract is done and now I can't say.
Well, thank you for blessing us with the being able to share the full story. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So then what is LHM Academia and Media? Can you talk a little bit about that?
LHM stands for Live From Your Heart and Mind. That's my brand name. LHM Academia is a special online experience created for entrepreneurs, coaches, business owners who want to tap into their magic, increase visibility, to master social networks, and to learn how to get their message out there. And the LG Media is a platform for authors who are spreading the positive messages and business messages. So I have about 35 or 40 authors writing for the LG Media and spreading the message. That's a kind of my a platform for all of us who want to express their knowledge about balance, happiness, success, to help other people, and so on. Basically, now both of those platforms are integrated in LGM International because I've grown up. So now my main business is personal growth and business coaching. And I'm helping coaches, entrepreneurs, and small business owners directly working with me to increase their visibility and generate leads, especially on LinkedIn, because that's the most powerful platform today. And on the other side, I have a team for website development, graphic design, and all the services needed for digital presentation and online business development. So I'm integrated all in one, and we are now one LHM International.
That's awesome. Congratulations on the merge and all of that. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
So what is your advice, or what do you share with business coaches, entrepreneurs? How do you make yourself visible? How do you connect with your audience, get leads? What are you working on right now in terms of that?
Well, I wish to share my little success story that my calendar was booked, like whole September was booked while I was on vacation in Greece. So that's like the most beautiful thing someone can live, when you see that your system is working and you are not working on it. Work smarter and not harder. So how I did that? LinkedIn is now the platform which is perfect for everyone who is doing online business. I couldn't be more grateful for the LinkedIn than I am now, because I have a much higher number of followers on all other platforms, but all other platforms have restrictions, and LinkedIn is giving 1% of reach to content creators. And not just that everyone from my network will see my post, but everyone who ever commented or liked on my content will see the post. So basically, I'm using LinkedIn the most to spread my message, to share valuable information with people, because those are very quality leads, because everyone there are there to do business and not to have parties like on Facebook and Instagram. So you can much easily tap into your ideal clients. You can much easily search them with a higher level of search functions. And if you can reach the SSI of 1%, that's a social selling index, which presents your personal brand, your engagement, and your establishing connections with other people on LinkedIn, then LinkedIn is giving you even more reach. So I am positioned in 1% of coaching industry on LinkedIn in the level of the whole network. And that's the reason why so many people see my reach. And what I'm doing through my coaching business is actually teaching people how to use that algorithm and how to set it so that they can have the same reach. One more beautiful thing about LinkedIn is they have live now. It's in beta, so 2% of users have them. I'm one of the lucky ones. And basically, it's again gives you much more quality than Facebook and Instagram, because everyone there just really want to hear what you have to say. It's much more easier, and I would like to invite everyone just to try to use it, and you will see how it goes.
So what would you say is the first step? Let's start with the profile, your profile area. What does a LinkedIn 2019 profile look like?
Well, first, the cover photo needs to speak for itself. If you check my cover photo, it has Brian's endorsement because he is a public person. It has all the logos of the companies I worked with or got engaged with. So it has to speak about my credibility. then the headline is extremely important. That's like a boss bio, but very different than for Instagram, because it gives you very little space to say exactly who you are and what you are doing. And the beauty of LinkedIn is that actually it's a search engine, not depending on any other algorithm. And that's not the case with Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. So LinkedIn has its own search engine. And if we use keywords a smart way, and I will reveal you how, then everyone else will just find you. So basically the headline needs to say what you do, for who, and what are the results. For example, my headline is personal growth and business coach specialized in creating visibility leads and unlimited impact for coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs. So you know what I do, for who I do, and what are the results. The summary section changed also, because before it was a bio, right? And now it's more about them and not about me. And it's more about, if you are a coach, consultant, and and you struggle with this, then I can help you. And one more important thing, in that summary, you need to use the same keywords you used in the headline, because then when they search, it's higher chance that they will get you.
And so what about, do you still include your work history? Like, what about people like that? Do they still include that kind of stuff?
Yes, that's very important, but that goes in experience sections below the summary. So if you want to reach the 5-star level of LinkedIn profile, which will again give you more visibility because LinkedIn is rating you higher than other users, then you need to basically add on everything that comes up to your mind, whatever you ever did, regarding to your experience, education, publications, awards, honors, whatever. So more information, more high rating, and more visibility.
So what should you be posting on LinkedIn? How often? Can you give any advice on that kind of stuff?
Yes, I post once per day, just once per day. The best time is basically depending on the audience, but usually people are on LinkedIn during the working hours, 10 to 11 a.m. And the best content is the content which gives educational or entertaining value, but not as entertaining as on Facebook and on Instagram. So basically my content is video content where I am sharing my tips, my expertise, and everything else with them and engaging with them in the comments. Or what I discovered that works even better are PDFs, like a beautiful presentation of something which is converted to PDF, and they can download PDF and use that. And of course, always know that you were the expert who gave them to that. So PDFs work perfectly. And what doesn't work are articles and sending people to other networks or websites. So staying in LinkedIn, it's something that gives the best thing. And now new feature are hashtags, but they don't work like on Instagram. I will now reveal you a secret. I was trending in hashtag LinkedIn. That's the most used and the hardest hashtag to be trending in. But when you reach a trend in the hashtag, then everyone from your network gets a notification, and then they visit your post and even spread your visibility even more. So I use up to 3 hashtags, and one of them is Catherine B. Roy because I'm building my brand there, and the other one are visibility and leads. Obviously, I'm doing that. But what is happening is that LinkedIn is attaching those hashtags into URL of the post. So whenever anyone search, even on Google, they will actually find your LinkedIn post. So that's very powerful, not even close like Facebook, like Instagram, but much more powerful. And that's something that can bring us a lot of leads and new clients, of course.
So should you not use more than 3 hashtags? Is 3 the minimum and maximum?
Maximum is actually 6 because everything above 6 is treated like spam and it will decrease the visibility. And 3 is like the optimum that will go into URL. So whatever you use after that, it just doesn't matter.
So what about making new connections? What's the, every platform has its own culture. Like when random people add me on Facebook, I'm like, who are you? What's the kind of etiquette for building connections and meeting new people on LinkedIn?
Well, what's very beautiful is that LinkedIn gives you an opportunity to have 30,000 direct connections. Facebook has just 5,000, right? So I'm now at a level that I don't add people, but they add me, and I kind of choose with who I will connect. And that's very important because the quality of their network will bring more quality or less quality to my network. So what I was doing is actually building my network in the area of what were my interests. I was searching for coaches, consultants, small business owners, and leaders who can help me. So when I established, as I thought, enough connections, then I went to try to connect with industry leaders like Vishen Lakiani or Marissa Peer or Ariana Huffington or I don't know, even Carmichael or whoever, and they're all my direct connections now. It's much easier to connect with very important and powerful people in the industry there than on any other network, because on LinkedIn, it's really them. And on other networks, it's usually admins because it's much more, you need to spend much more time.
What's the nature of the DM situation on LinkedIn? Can you send people direct messages, or is that awkward, or what's the DM story?
Big no. So I made a video and I had no idea that people will react on it so much that they really listened to it and they stopped DMing me on LinkedIn because I'm aware that, for example, on Instagram, SOS factor is very high for DMs, but on LinkedIn, things don't work that way. It was so annoying one time because everyone were hiring lead magnet agencies who were DMing people, and they were doing that on very not so professional way. So actually, they were losing connections for their clients and not the opposite. And I made a video and I just said, if you want to work with me, please just say so. Don't send me like template messages because just not going to work. What does work on LinkedIn is adding a note when you add someone, but that's not a pinch. So the cold pinches don't work. But a DM, like very pleasant DM, like, hi, thank you for liking my post. I noticed that, and I noticed that we have a lot of connections in common and we can bring value to each other, is something that's very acceptable there. So if we go with, hi, here is a free, no.
So if you DM somebody, treat it like a conversation you would if you're meeting somebody. You wouldn't meet somebody and say, hey, I'm Tom, let me sell you something. It's, hey, how are you? Like build up rapport. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, exactly. So I don't get my leads from direct messages. I get my leads from my content, which shows that I know what I'm talking about. And I am just saying to them at the end of the content, if you want to know more, if you want to connect with me, if you need help with this, check out my summary section. And not even in that moment I say to them, book a call. But when they go to my summary section, they get more information and they see how they can book a call with me. And that's how things roll, really.
It's wonderful. So I hope for all y'all listening, that was some really nice tactical LinkedIn information for you. If you're in the social media space, a lot of people have been talking about LinkedIn, so I knew Catherine was going to bring some great value. Catherine, for people who know they have something within them they want to share, but are afraid to share it, or something's holding them back, what would you like to share with them?
That was me. I've had 12 time shots for my first video. I was afraid. I even was making video with the musics, hoping that people will notice music better than me. I was like, oh my God. But now I'm doing live streamings everywhere. So just remember that fear doesn't exist. It's a mechanism of our brain from something unknown. And it's perfect if you feel fear, because that's important for you. So find a Facebook group where you feel safe, where people will not judge you, where people will not, hate you or whatever, where they will support you, and start there. There are a lot of Facebook groups for video material, and see what happens. Because I wasn't feeling ready, but I made the first video and people loved it. And when you feel that they loved it, you make another one and another one and another one. And then it just becomes natural and you're just everywhere. And then you want the big stage.
That's wonderful. And that's how we met. We're both a part of a Facebook group, Jasmine Starr, social curator. And, so I agree. Find a community that supports you. That's wonderful advice.
Yeah, well, for example, I am connected with Jasmine on LinkedIn, and I'm really talking to her on LinkedIn. So that's the only place that really she is. she.
That's awesome. So you might have heard me say at the beginning that this is my year of grace. And so I like to talk with my guests about what grace is for them. So for you, how does grace show up in your life?
Well, I have to say that after so huge transformation which I had so many of them, right? I'm blessed to live life that I'm living now. And everything that I see around me actually has or is grace. I mean, I just look at life differently. I am doing what I love and helping people and enjoying in their success, because that's also my success. And what I wish to achieve is that the hearts that I touch remind my legacy, not mine's. And I think that's the highest level of grace, when you can tap into the emotion and basically make the people fall in love with what you do, and build a trust with them, so they will take your hand and you can guide them through their way of transformation and creating their lives.
That's wonderful. For people who are really resonating with what you are sharing and they want to be a part of your world, where can they reach out and connect with you?
They can always find me on my website, catherinebiroy.com, obviously on LinkedIn, and all other social networks with my name, Catherine Biroy, are available.
And show notes for people who are on the go, tomerl.com/Catherine, tomerl.com/CATHERINE, tomerl.com/Catherine is where you can find Catherine's website and all those kind of things. Catherine, this has been such a joy. This has been absolutely amazing. You sharing your story, all of the tips, all of that kind of stuff. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. Truly.
So our closing ritual is for you to share an invitation with our audience. So what is your invitation for people to do, to consider, to be, to experience? What is your invitation?
I would like to say, just believe in yourself. There is nothing that you can do. And that's the biggest struggle that we have. We have formed beliefs. And for the first step, start changing your beliefs from I'm not worth of it to I'm enough. and I'm worth of everything that I desire to achieve.
Well said. Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank you.
And to all of those listening, as always, we are wishing you peace and blessings. Thank you. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.